Hey, folks, we are back at NG Atlanta. I'm here with Nathan Walker.
Hello, hello.
He's one of the speakers, spoke earlier today about NativeScript.
Exciting stuff, particularly the story of code sharing with Angular. So my background with NativeScript comes very much from an Angular focus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting, the idea of code sharing between mobile and web and, anything else you're going to put it on.
Code sharing is a broad topic, right? When you talk about mobile is kind of split between two programming languages primarily. Actually, more like 3 or 4 when you're talking Objective-C, Swift, Java, and Kotlin. And really code sharing can span the scope of web technologies, but also pure mobile technologies.
You didn't say C#. John Papa's going to be sad.
C#, so in the talk I did mention desktop being split between respectively Objective-C and Swift, but also C++ and C#. In the talk specifically, NativeScript is focused on mobile, but they also could do fluid access for desktop APIs. It's actually a topic that I asked about maybe 2 years ago when I first got into NativeScript, and I thought, well, wow, if this can work this way, can we use it to actually fluidly interact with desktop APIs? And it definitely can. Their focus is just on mobile right now.
Right.
So maybe if my time opens up, I could contribute to help the desktop effort, which would be pretty fun.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to break in here really quickly. NativeScript is made by Progress. Progress sponsored my trip out here, so I'm just going to, shout out to them. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Progress.
But yeah, they have Kendo UI. They're releasing new controls for React and Vue and all that stuff. And then, NativeScript as well.
NativeScript has some rich Pro UI components as well. There's been actually some talk of doing like Kendo API mirrors with NativeScript markup. So you could use potentially an exact Kendo component in a NativeScript context. And all that means is that you could use that singular component that's a Kendo component, but also target a native type control on iOS and Android.
Very cool.
So we'll see what comes of that.
Yep. So the main thrust of your talk was code sharing between Angular and NativeScript?
Yes. Code sharing is something in particular. In the past 6 months, I had been involved in an effort to convert 3 code bases with a company out of Montreal, Quebec called U Group Media. And they have a really popular app amongst families. It's for families and kids called Portable North Pole. This was an app that was developed over a 10-year period. In particular, the past 5-6 years, they started focusing on mobile. One of the big features they wanted to deliver there was the ability to record a child's reaction. So their products sell videos for the parents to put together and customize these high-quality production videos like a movie, like a mini movie, with inserts of pictures and audio. They actually bring in actors to actually say Santa's voice in 4 different languages, and all of the actors come in pronunciating the names and different phrases, all with proper localization.
Oh, wow.
And it's quite an effort, but all of this is spliced together on the back end to create these videos. And then the children watch them, and the feature on mobile they wanted to do was have the child's reaction, their first time reaction, seeing the video recorded. Not necessarily without them knowing, but with without any obstruction.
Right.
So this involved taking a video layer that would actually videotape the child sitting watching an iPad or a tablet with the video full frame playing, but it's actually recording audio and everything, and actually mix the audio, of course, with their reaction with the video that's playing. And then the thing that really was hard to achieve in a mobile web browser alone was taking that video once it's recorded, and then, of course, queuing up a background process to export it to MP4, because the phone, of course, saves those as pretty large files.
Right.
500, 600, some of them are even 800 megabytes.
Oh,
and
wow.
then we would convert those to MP4 on the device and then upload it in the background, even if the user put the app in the background. So that was key to deliver that feature, because most people, when they get done recording their child, are going to, oh, that was fun, celebrate and do something else and put their phone down.
Yep.
So it was really important that uploading in the background worked. and we use native scripts' ability to access native APIs to do background uploading on iOS and Android.
Wow. I think a lot of times we just kind of talk about, oh, okay, you can have the same UIs and use the same elements, and it looks like it belongs on the device. We don't think about all the background stuff that we have to do with it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot that's going on behind the scenes to pull off, whether it's a complex networking interaction or just a complex UX sequence.
Right.
Sure.
So I guess the one thing that I'm wondering about is if you're talking about, I guess we're talking about two different things, running things in the background. But the other thing is as you talk about building an app, let's say that I have a web application and I want to, go and do something with it with NativeScript. How do I wind up sharing code there?
The biggest thing that we've found that's really beneficial, and there may be other ways to do this, what we found works really well is taking common component traits. So if you have a Angular component that has inputs and outputs, methods, maybe even shared services that it's dealing with, abstract that and refactor all down to a common, just bare bones abstract TypeScript class. Then we would take that class and put that in a shared library that we can extend into the web target deployment, and then we would also extend it in the mobile deployment. And so what this allows us to do is very simply share that code, those common component traits, but then decorate it appropriately.
Right.
Now, over the past 2 years, we experimented with doing shared component code with conditionals around platforms. The problem with that, of course, is kind of a maintenance nightmare, and also it's not the prettiest thing because you don't want to look at something that says, if we're on this platform, do this, otherwise do that. So the abstract class really allows you to stay focused on each platform development. So you're just focusing on standard refactoring, which most people are used to, and reducing complexity down to one. And so that approach with an abstract class allows you to do it that way. And so when you extend it, you're just saying, we're going to decorate this for the web because we want to use this on the web. And then over here, we're going to use all that code and we're going to decorate it here for NativeScript. And of course, that gives us that kind of what I would say best of class device feel and performance that on mobile people really react to.
Right. So when you say abstract class, what do you mean?
Export abstract class name of component.
Okay.
It is a non-decorated, and when I say non-decorated, we're talking in Angular terms, so it's not decorated with an Angular component.
Right.
It's just a bare bones TypeScript class that compiles down to a straight generic class.
Gotcha.
We can simply extend that and decorate each.
That makes sense. Right, and then
the other key thing I was going to say is that there are platform providers. This is the other key component. I'd say common component traits is a great area that you can share a lot of code. And then the other important aspect is platform providers. So a simple example of this that I gave in the talk was a platform language token. So you could use Angular's injection token to represent what the user's locale would be. Getting the user's locale preference on a web browser versus a mobile device is very different. There's no window global object, and so we get window navigator location off the browser, but we don't have access to something like that from Objective-C and Java. So we can take an injection token, and we can provide that in a shared lib and then inject that token all across our shared code, also across components in the targeted platform stuff, and that would use the right locale because we'll provide that at runtime on the web using window navigator location, and then with NativeScript, we'll use NativeScript's library device.location, which actually grabs whatever the user's device locale is. And that's very useful.
Yeah, so essentially what you're doing is you're taking advantage of the fact that Angular uses dependency injection, and you're saying this is locale provider.
That's right.
And then locale provider provides the nice wrapping around wherever you're living to ask the platform appropriately what the locale is.
This is a very powerful approach, and it's enabled by Angular alone, the dependency injection. And You can expand that to more sophisticated examples like a modal service, for
Right.
instance. So modals are very different on the web as they are on Java, not alone Objective-C. So dealing with that difference can be done with the same strategy. We'll represent a modal platform as just either a token or an injectable. And we'll send that into a shared service. Let's call that modal service. That modal service will be our simplified, condensed, consistent API.
Right.
Let's say we have open and close. And that open just can pass in a component type, and close could take an argument of a value to pass back to the caller of the modal. So you can take that modal platform and provide, say, Angular material on the web, or you could provide NG Bootstrap. Whatever modal service you want to use, it doesn't matter. To the runtime, of course, as long as that modal platform is provided with something to open that, it works. And then on NativeScript, we'll provide modal dialog service, which comes from the NativeScript Angular renderer that the NativeScript team has developed. And that really is the glue magic between the harmony that you get with Angular and NativeScript together.
Yeah. And so, yeah, then when you're writing your component out and it needs to call a modal, you don't have to worry about where you live.
Doesn't matter what platform.
Yeah.
You know you got a modal service. You know it can call open. You know it can call close. Just call open, give it a component, and it's going to do the right thing with that best of class on web and mobile.
That's awesome.
It is fun stuff.
Yep. So do you have a team that you work with that does this stuff? Or
back in the early spring last year, myself, Brad Martin, and Nathaniel Anderson, all pretty involved community contributors in the NativeScript community, also Angular as well. We started NStudio, and NStudio has been helping companies develop similar apps, not necessarily isolated to these technologies. We do like to work with all sorts of things,
Right.
Even just backend stacks as well. But we have been using NativeScript for Angular a lot lately. It's been a very effective way to develop some of these larger scale projects.
Gotcha. So if some company out there is watching this and they're trying to decide, you know what, do we want to make our folks learn NativeScript, or do we want to just hire NStudio, and they decide, you know what, we don't have the staff or the time or the resources to do that. How do they get a hold of you guys to solve their problem for them?
Team@nstudio.io. That will hit all of us. And we honestly like to work with people in the best way possible. It doesn't have to be in-house. It can be in-house. It can be working as partners with the team. It can also just be assisting them. So we've done a lot with folks who already have apps in development, and we'll get on and help them work through performance issues. Maybe they have a feature that requires a specific plugin that they're having trouble integrating, and we'll get in and help them bring the plugin to fruition. So we really try to be as flexible as possible in how we can interact.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When I was contracting, I did a bunch of that kind of work where it wasn't, hey, go build this for us. It was, hey, we've got a team. You're the expert. Come in and help us basically set us up to succeed. And so you're kind of there to take the lead when you need to, but ultimately to get them to the point where they're going to go succeed on their own.
Absolutely. No, we care as much about that end result as they do, for sure, as you know. And I think when it comes to like these mobile projects and larger enterprise projects, the thing that I think is really exciting for us is to see how much easier and rapid development becomes for the team we leave the code to. So I'm really excited going into 2018 and with the team that's at U-Group Media and the fruits that they can now enjoy going forward and writing new features on a more rapid base. I'm excited to see what happens in the next holiday season, 2018.
Cool. Very cool. Well, one other question I guess I have is just, if people are, I don't know if you're hiring or if people want to follow what you're working on, but how do they work out any of that stuff?
We do have a Slack channel, and we do invite community contributors there. I think the NativeScript Slack is a great place as well. We're all in the NativeScript Slack. We do work with community people all the time. Just a shout out to Josh Sommer, OC Fortune. That entire Slack community is welcome within Studio. We definitely would love to bring more people and just work equally. As long as we can get the end goal out with the quality, for sure, we're excited to work with everyone in the community to do that.
All right, good deal. Well, thank you, Nathan, for coming and talking to us.
Thank you.
hopefully you enjoy the rest of NG Atlanta.
It's been some great talks this morning so far, for sure. It's been a nicely sized conference, so no, it's a great opportunity. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, it's been nice just to, it's not too big, but, there are plenty of people here too. So, yeah, get to meet all kinds of folks.
Definitely. Zach Chappell, you've done an awesome job. And Progress, thank you.
All right, well, we'll wrap this one up, and we'll have more videos from NG Atlanta.
Awesome. Thank you very much.